Hello everyone, Andres Rodriguez here. I did my project on Paul Robeson. I'm sure you've all heard of him at one point or another. Paul Robeson was born on April 9th, 1898 to parents William Drew Robeson and Maria Louisa Bastille Robeson in Princeton, New Jersey. Robeson was the youngest of 7 children, and his father was a reverend, and he ran a church called Witherspoon Street Presbyterian Church. It was during this time and until Robeson was about about like 12 years old, that he would accompany his father to church often, and he would sing in the choir with his brothers, and he would sometimes even take the place of his father at the altar and give the sermons for the congregation. And there were a lot of members in the congregation that were during this time would just always tell Robeson that he was destined for great things. Robeson Robeson was, manifesting great feats in his life, but it was more along the lines of academics and athletics. He wasn't really interested in. I wouldn't say he wasn't interested, but he wasn't deeply involved in theater. In high school, he was in a production of Julius Caesar and Othello, but it wasn't until law school that a friend of his. Who was producing a production of Simon of Cyrene by Ridgely Torrance. Where he asked Robeson to play the lead role, and that was Robeson's first legitimate role in a production. And after this, Robeson would portray Jim in Taboo by Mary Hoyt Weiberg, but it was also during this time that Robeson met his wife, Islanda S.E. Cardozo Goody. They would see each other around Harlem, and they just kind of had like a instant chemistry with each other, and would eventually get married to each other on August of 1921. Essie would eventually actually become his agent and landed him his first film role in a silent film called Body and Soul. So a little fun fact there. Robeson originally wanted to be a lawyer, but after all the racism that was involved in the country at the time and in the workplace, and just him being a black man in America, he felt very discouraged by his profession. So he essentially quit that profession and pursued theater because he liked the challenge. And so his first major role was Jim and Eugene O'Neill's All Goods Chillin's Got Wings. And then he would later go on to bigger roles such as Brutus in a production of The Emperor Jones. But it wasn't until he portrayed the role of Joe in the musical Showboat at Drury Lane that he gained high acclaim for his performance and started to get recognition amongst the theater community in London, and would eventually move over to the United States as well. Robeson has been said to be the best Othello to ever grace the stage. So just a little fun fact there. Robeson was also involved in Hollywood. He was involved in several films, but his most famous was Joe and Showboat, which I've attached a little clip of in my Prezi. But after his whole big thing with him getting blacklisted because of his admitting to being a communist, he kind of stopped his involvement in Hollywood. But what was so great about Paul Robeson is how he was the first African American in mainstream theater and mainstream film to really embrace his African heritage, and that's the legacy that he left behind. He was the first to act before the civil rights movement, and for that I think that Robeson is almost like not only a titan in the world of theater, but really in just American history in general. But I hope you guys give him a little look-see and enjoy my Prezi.